Hey everyone, Sam here from Silly Stories for Kids. Guess what? Here's another story made up on the spot just for you. We hope you enjoy it. Okay, let's go. This is a special episode for one of the winners of our recent colouring, drawing and storytelling competition. Thanks to everyone who got involved. We loved seeing everything you've made. We better get into the story. One day, 3 little kids named Eliora, Alec and Aiden were all at their house. Now, they had been playing some games in their toy room. They were working together to build a big tower out of blocks. They were almost finished. All right, Alec, be very careful as you put that block on. Okay, Eliora, I'll do my best. So Alec stretched up with the last block, and as he was starting to put it on the top of the tower, they heard a noise. What is that noise? Said Eliora. The house began to shake and the block tower began to fall. No! Yelled the kids. Went the blocks. Oh, what was that? They said. They raced outside and looked up in the sky, and above their house was a spaceship. Are you seeing that? Said Eliora. I am, said Alec. Aiden stared up as well. He pointed. All of a sudden, they saw a little green alien poke his head out the side of the spaceship. Hello, my name is Peepo. Oh, hello, said Eliora. Is your name Eliora? Yes, it is. And is that Alec? Yes, that's me, said Alec. And is that Boppy Beepy Bop? What? Said the kids. No, just kidding, said Peepo. The kids laughed. I have been sent to collect you because there is a group of people that need your help. Really? Said the kids. Really? Said Peepo. Do you think that you could come help us? We just need to check with our parents. Okay, said Peepo. So the kids went inside and sure enough, they were allowed to go on the very special adventure. Peepo was still hovering in his spaceship outside. We can come, Peepo, they yelled. Hooray, said Peepo. Yippee, I am so happy, said Peepo. Okay, stand very still. What? You need to stand as special statues. Really? Yes, make a funny statue pose, please, said Peepo. Okay, said the kids. So, they each made a funny-looking statue pose and stood very still. Just kidding, you didn't need to do the statues, said Peepo, as beams of light came down from the spaceship and lifted the kids up inside. When the kids were inside the spaceship, they were amazed. Look at all these buttons! That looks like fun, said Alec, as he raced over towards the console. I'm not sure that you should beep 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 pop beep beep pop pop. Alec, said Eliora, did you press all the buttons? Maybe. They were just so bright and colourful. I know. Lucky I set it on play mode. You can press as many buttons as you like. Oh, that's great, said the kids. So each of them took turns pressing all the buttons on the spaceship. Beep beep boop beep pop beep pop beep boop pop. Oh, it makes very funny noises. Ready? Look at this one. Peepo pressed another one and funny music started playing out random speakers all over the spaceship. The kids were having so much fun. Oh, hang on. We better get going. They are waiting for us. Who's waiting? Who's waiting for us? Said Eliora. Oh, can't tell you. Just wait. Peepo opened a special cupboard on the side and started flicking some different switches. Okay, now I am setting the spaceship to real mode. So be careful not to touch any of the buttons. Okay, said the kids. As Peepo flipped the last switch, he looked at the console. Okay, let me program in the coordinates. He started pressing a few different buttons and typing some numbers. Well, at least the kids thought they were numbers. They'd never kind of seen those characters before. And as he pressed them all, he got prepared. Okay, would you kids like to press the go button? Yes please, they said. Which one's the go button? Can't you tell? Said Peepo. The kids looked at the console, and sure enough, in the middle was a gigantic button. Is it that one? Oh, yes, it is that one. Is everybody ready? I think so, said the kids. Press the button, said Peepo. So the kids all pressed the go button. Beep. The spaceship blasted off into the sky and flew all the way through space. As they were flying, the kids saw all funny things out the sides of the spaceship. They saw rocks floating past. They saw funny-looking plants growing on the sides of other big rocks. They even saw a very strange-looking... It kind of looked like a cat. It smiled and it winked and it waved and then it kept rolling along sideways. What is going on out there? Oh, there is very funny things in space. Uh-oh, watch out, yelled Beepo. The kids looked out the front window and directly in front of them was a giant rock. What are we going to do, yelled the kids. Quick, grab that handle, he said to Eliora. Eliora reached down and grabbed the handle. What do I do? Pull hard, said Beepo. So Eliora pulled the handle as hard as she could. As she did, the spaceship did a very big spin and went straight around the giant rock. Whoa, that was so close. Yes, lucky you were there. Well done, Eliora. Oh, thank you, she said. Fantastic. We are almost there, said Beepo. The kids watched, and as they watched out the window, they could see a planet that was very small but getting bigger and bigger the closer that they got. The planet was big and round and blue, and it had lots of rings around it as well, and the rings seemed to be swirling in different directions. Wow, said the kids. That looks so beautiful. I know. It is a very beautiful planet, but they need your help. What do they need our help with? Oh, you will see, said Beepo. As they got closer, they started to lower the spaceship down towards the planet, and they landed on the planet's surface. A big smoke cloud poured out from the spaceship as the kids landed. Then Beepo opened the door and the kids all walked out. This planet was beautiful. It had all kinds of amazing looking plants that were all different colours of blue. There were blue flowers and blue leaves and blue trees. It looked incredible. The details on each one was spectacular. They looked so closely, they couldn't help but investigate everything that they saw. This place is incredible, said Eliora. I know, said Alec. Look at it all. It's so amazing. Thank you, said a voice. Who said that? The kids looked around. Oh, you have found him. Who is he? Said the kids. And where is he? Said Alec. I'm down here, said the voice. The kids looked. They couldn't see anything anywhere. Underneath the leaves. Oh, they started looking and lifting up leaves and looking very carefully. And there, on the ground, was a tiny little dot. That can't be it, can it? Said Eliora. I'm not an it. It is, said Alec. Who are you? My name's Bicky. Bicky, said Alec. That's a fun name. Yes, but we have a big problem. What's the big problem? Said Eliora. Can't you see how small I am? Said Bicky. Well, we didn't know if that was normally how big you were. No, I'm not normally this small, said Bicky. Well, what happened? Said the kids. I'm not really sure. I was just working in the garden, and then all of a sudden I started to get very, very small. Oh, I wonder what it could be. Well, said Eliora, maybe if we go to the area of the garden where you became very, very small, we might be able to work it out. Okay, said Bicky. Follow me. The kids had to watch very closely to be able to follow behind Bicky. Even though Bicky was very small, he was still very fast. He ran along the ground extremely quickly, and the kids raced to try and keep up. They ran along behind him, zooming in and out between trees and bushes, under rocks and over the top of other bits and pieces. They even saw a river that seemed to be floating. Is that river floating? Said Eliora. Yes, all the rivers here seem to float very high, said Bicky. The kids were amazed. They watched and they ran as they followed Bicky right through this amazing blue jungle until they reached a spot, and Bicky stopped. It was just over there, said Bicky, pointing over towards a plant that was different to all the other ones. I wonder, said Eliora. This plant over here, said Alec. Don't touch it, yelled Eliora. But it was too late. Alec touched the funny-looking plant and he shrunk down to the same size as Bicky. Hey, help, he yelled. Oh, now you're as small as I am, said Bicky. Oh dear, said Eliora, it's got something to do with that plant. Oh, said Beepo. Let us investigate. How are we going to investigate it, said Eliora. Well, said Beepo, as he reached into a bag that he was carrying, and he brought out a very strange-looking magnifying glass. He handed it to Eliora. Okay, Eliora. Make sure to look through the magnifying glass very carefully at that very special plant. Okay, she said. She picked up the magnifying glass and walked over to the plant, being very careful not to touch it. She held up the magnifying glass and looked through. Oh, it's got some kind of name.
What is it called?
It's called Shrinky Dinkus. Shrinky Dinkus, said Alec.
Oh, I have heard of Shrinky Dinkus,
said Beepo. What is it? Said Aliora.
It's a plant that makes you shrink.
Well, we worked that out. We just had to watch what happened to Alec.
Oh, you are correct. But does it tell you anything else?
Hang on, there's some more writing here. As Aliora looked through the magnifying glass, she read the words that appeared before her. If somebody comes into contact with Shrinky Dinkus, they need to find the opposite plant. What's the opposite plant? She said.
Keep reading,
said Beepo. So she kept reading. The opposite plant is called Expander Granda.
Oh,
said Beepo.
I wonder where we could find that. Now we need to use the other tool.
What's the other tool? Said Alec.
Oh, lucky you are small.
Why's that? Said Aliora.
Because the other tool is very small.
Beepo reached into his bag and pulled out a tiny, tiny, tiny little compass.
What's that?
Said Bicky.
Well,
said Beepo,
if you whisper what you are trying to find into this compass, it will point in the right direction,
he said. He handed the tiny, tiny little compass down to Alec.
Okay, Alec, whisper the right words.
So Alec whispered in the name of the opposite plant. Expander Granda, he whispered into the compass. And as he did, the compass started to spin. Aliora could see it spinning as well. Then it started pointing a different direction. We need to follow it that way, she yelled. Alec started to run along the ground, following where the compass was pointing, and Aliora chased along behind. Beepo zoomed along as well, and Bicky charged through, joining them all. As they raced through the forest, they followed through, around and under, until eventually they saw a very, very, very tiny little plant in the corner. It seems to be pointing right at that one, said Aliora. Yeah, I think it's that one, said Alec. Let's see, he said. He walked over and he picked up the plant. As he did, he went back to normal size. Hooray, said Aliora. It works. Here you go, Aliora, yelled Alec as he threw it towards her.
No, don't throw it towards.
But Aliora caught the plant and she became extremely tall. Oops, said Alec. Aliora looked down. She began to laugh. Ho, 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 ho. She was so tall. Bicky reached across. Can you please throw that down to me? He said. Aliora dropped the plant down to Bicky, and when he touched it, he went back to normal size. Hooray! They yelled. But what about Aliora? Said Alec.
Don't worry, I brought along some of the Shrinky Dinkus.
Beepo used a pair of tweezers to pull some of the Shrinky Dinkus out of his bag. He moved over towards Aliora and touched it on her leg. As he did, Aliora went back to normal size. Hooray! They all yelled. Thank you so much, said Bicky. You're welcome, said the kids. Hey, Beepo, we better get out of here. Our dad will be wondering where we are.
Oh, you are correct. Come, let's go.
So the kids and Beepo raced back to the spaceship. They jumped on board and Beepo typed in all the coordinates, and then the kids hit the big go button. And the spaceship took off. As they zoomed back in towards their house, Beepo used the beam to send them back down to the ground.
Bye, kids,
said Beepo.
I hope you've had fun.
We had a great time, they yelled. Thanks, Beepo. He beamed them down to the ground. When they arrived back at the front door and walked inside, their dad was standing there. Hey, kids, did you have fun? Where did you go? He said. Well, said Aliora, I don't think you'd believe us, even if we told you. And that is the end of the story.
Today's episode has been brought to you by People's Magnification, Classification, Investigation, Creation. If you have anything that you don't know what it is, point one of my special devices at it and find out all the details. Speaking of details, for more information on our podcast, head over to SillyStoriesForKids.com. And make sure to share Silly Stories with all of your friends. This has been me, Peepo.
And me, Sam. See you soon.